Morning. Right now, 45 flights are canceled at sea-tac with 920 flights canceled nationwide. So here to talk about this holiday season's air travel outlook, the Senior Editorial Director for The Point Sky, Nick Ewen. Nick, thank you for being with us this morning.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on.
Okay, well, let's jump right into this. How long do you believe it will take for airline operations to become stable again following this government shutdown?
Well, we've already thankfully seen some recovery. A lot of it depends on when the FAA lifts that 6% reduction that has been mandated across the board. Thankfully, we're not getting to the 10% that was supposed to start today, but we already are seeing it trending downward in terms of delays and cancellations. I'm hoping that we're going to see as we get into the beginning of next week. We're going to be about a week out from Thanksgiving then. I'm hoping that things are going to be significantly better then, but there's still some question marks in terms of when that mandated reduction is going to be lifted.
Yeah, I think you and millions of Americans are hoping that this is going to get back together. So when it comes to booking flights back home for Thanksgiving, should travelers be attempting to find flights that are maybe nonstop to avoid any mishaps that might happen with cancellations and connections?
Yeah, for sure. If you haven't already booked and you have the option of doing a nonstop flight, even if it is more expensive, oftentimes they are, definitely a good option to do that. Or opt for a flight with a longer connecting time. That way, if your first flight is delayed, there's a greater chance you can make it. The big issue is not just missing the connecting flight and think, oh, I can get to on the next one. Capacity tends to be really tight around these holiday periods. So it's really important that you give a little bit of extra flex. No one wants to spend extra time in the airport, but I would much rather do that than worry about missing a connecting flight and potentially missing out on that valuable time with friends, loved ones, or family members.
Yeah, for sure. And now I know out there on social media, we see a lot of tips and things you can do with rights for passengers when it comes to flight cancellations. Are they guaranteed compensation if the airlines cancels that, or because of this government shutdown, getting back up and getting on track again?
So unfortunately, there isn't any mandated compensation that you are owed other than a refund if you ultimately don't accept the rebooking option and you elect not to travel. So that's really important. If they give you something that you're like, you know what, I don't like that rebooking, I'm going to go ahead and cancel my flight, you are entitled to a refund. And that also holds true for those most restrictive basic economy tickets. Any additional compensation beyond that for extra nights in a hotel, extra days of a rental car, meals that you had to incur, those generally are not going to be covered. You can always ask the airline, but chances are they're not going to be willing to offer those things for you. If you did purchase an independent travel insurance policy, you may be able to get reimbursed for some of those things, but the airlines generally aren't on the hook for anything other than reaccommodating you on another flight or ultimately giving your money back if you choose not to travel.
Okay, what in your opinion is the outlook do you think this is going to go, especially, unfortunately, just heading into this holiday season? Do you think there are some protections out there? Do you have any more advice on that for passengers just kind of on the fence saying, should I stay or should I go, or let's risk it and go?
Yeah, I mean, there's always a risk with traveling, especially around this time of year with limited capacity. Winter weather can obviously play a role, rainy weather. So if you do have alternate options, like you're choosing to fly, but you could drive or you could take a train, could be a good opportunity to investigate that. If you do stick with your flight plans right now, download the airline app that you're going to be traveling with and enable those flight notifications. Ideally, that way, if your flight is delayed or is canceled, you'll immediately be notified and you can jump on some of those self-service booking tools to try to get reaccommodated. I actually had a colleague at the Point Sky had this very thing happen to her, and within 3 minutes, she rebooked herself before her airline was able to even get a new reservation for her. So sometimes being proactive and being your own best advocate, being prepared, is probably more important than ever these days.
Oh, that's some good advice, Nick. I appreciate that for sure. All right, always check with the airlines. Be on alert. It's going to be one of those holiday seasons. We'll just have to wait and see how it goes. Nick Ewen, the Point Sky, thanks so much for offering your advice this morning.
Yep, appreciate being on. Thank you.